सततं जनता भवतापहरं परमार्थपरायण लोकगतिं नवलेखकरं जगतापहरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत घोरवरं सततं जनता भवतापहरं परमार्थपरायण लोकगतिं नवलेखकरं जगतापहरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत घोरवरम्। निज भक्तिकरं प्रियचारुतरं नटनर्तन नागरराजकुलं कुलकामिनी मानसलास्यकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं निज भक्तिकरं प्रियचारुतरं नटनर्तन नागरराजकुलं कुलकामिनी मानसदास्यकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत घोरवरम्। करतालवलं कलकण्ठरवं मृदुवाद सुवीनकया मधुरं निजभक्तिगुणावृतनाट्यकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं करतालवलं कलकण्ठरवं मृदुवाद्य सुवीनकया मधुरं निजभक्तिगुणावृतनाट्यकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरम्। युगधर्मयुतं पूर्णानन्दसुतं धरणेषु चित्रं भवभावचितं तनुध्यानचितं निजवासयुतं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं युगधर्मयुतं पूर्णानन्दसुतं धरणेषु चित्रं भवभावचितं तनुध्यानचितं निजवासयुतं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरम्। अरुणं नयनं चरणं वसनं वदने स्खलितं स्वकनाभधरं कुरुते सुरसं जगत्जीवनं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरम् अरुणं नयनं चरणं वसनं वदने स्खलितं स्वकनाभधरं कुरुते सुरसं जगत्जीवनं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरम्। नवगौरवरं नवपुष्पसरं नवभावधरं नवलस्यकरं नवगौरवरं नवपुष्पसरं नवभावधरं नवलस्यकरं नवहास्यकरं नवहेमवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं नवहास्यकरं नवहेमवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं 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 प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरम्
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept my respectful obeisances, Aglushi Prabhupada, Aglushi Gurudev. So you're welcome to the class. I think we'll continue with the bhajan for about 5 minutes so that more devotees can come in. Then by 11 o'clock we start. Local time. In 5 minutes time we'll start. Is that okay? Your mic is mute. Okay, good.
Sorry, yes, thank you. I was just greeting you and thanking you. And I'm going to move out the sun, so that's fine. That gives me a few minutes to move out from here. Haribol.
नवगौरवरं नवपुष्पसरं नवभावधरं नवरस्यपरं नवहास्यकरं नवहेमवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं नवगौरवरं नवपुष्पसरं नवभावधरं नवलास्यपरं नवहास्यकरं नवहेमवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरम् नवप्रेमयुतं नवनीतशुचं नववेशकृतं नवप्रेमरसं नवधाविलसशुभप्रेममयं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं नवप्रेमयुतं नवनीतशुचं नववेशकृतं नवप्रेमरसं नवधाविलसशुभप्रेममयं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरम् हरिभक्तिपरं हरिनामगरं करजाप्यकरं हरिनामपरं नयने सततं प्रणयाश्रुधरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरं हरिभक्तिपरं हरिनामधरं करजाप्यकरं हरिनामपरं नयने सततं प्रणयाश्रुधरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतगौरवरम् सततं जनता भवता परमार्थ परायण लोकगतिं नवलेहकरं जगतापहरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतं घोरवरं सततं जगतां भवतापहरं परमार्थपरायण लोकगतिं नवलेहकरं जगतापहरं प्रणमामि शचीसुतं घोरवरम् निज भक्ति परम प्रिय चारुतरम नटनर्शन नागर राजकुलम कुलकामिनी मानस लास्य करम प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरम निज भक्ति परम प्रिय चारुतरम नटनर्तन नागर राजकुलम कुलकामिनी मानस लास्य करम प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरम् करतालबलं कलकण्ठरवं मृदुवाद सुवीनकया मधुरं निजभक्ति गुणाकृतनाट्यकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं करतालबलं कलकण्ठरवं मृदुवाद सुवीनकया मधुरं निज भक्ति गुणामृत
Yeah. 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 Hare Krishna. So, Hare Krishna, mother. The mic is still muted.
There we go. Hare Krishna. Good morning. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, mother. We're happy to see you once again. Now the floor is yours, mother. So you want me to put this test up, or you want to chant some prayers upward?
I will chant some prayers first, and then you can put it out. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Before I start chanting the prayers, I just wanted to thank whoever the graphic person is that do the flyers that are sent out, because it makes it so easy to be able to just see, the Zoom number, the Zoom ID, and also the passcode, and just get on just like in half a second, maybe less than that. So I want to thank the creativity of that visual person, of that person that really did, the graphics on there. Hari Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So now we can do the verse. We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 44. And I'm going to, okay, you have it on the screen, and I will also read it from here. So the text is, Sutta Uvacha Pritayetam Kalapadahi Paritnukta Hilodayaha Mandam Jahasha Vaikunto Mohayan Eva Mayaya. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Okay, let me do the word for word. Sutta Uvacha, Sutta said, Pritaya by Pritu Kunti, Etam this, Kalapadahi by chosen words, Parinuta being worshipped, Akila universal, Udayaha glories, Mandam mildly, Jahasha smiled, Vaikuntaha the Lord, Mohayan captivating, Eva like, Mayaya his mystic power. Srila Prabhupada's translation and its purport. Sutta Goswami said, the Lord, thus hearing the prayers of Kunti Devi, composed in choice words for his glorification, mildly smiled. That smile was as enchanting as his mystic power. The purport, Srila Prabhupada said, anything that is enchanting in the world is said to be a representation of the Lord. The conditioned souls who are engaged in trying to lord it over the material world are also enchanted by his mystic powers. But his devotees are enchanted in a different way by the glories of the Lord, and his merciful blessings are upon them. His energy is displayed in different ways as electrical energy works in manifold capacities. Srimati Kunti Devi has prayed to the Lord just to enunciate a fragrance of his glories. All his devotees worship him in that way, by chosen words, and therefore the Lord is known as Uttama Shloka. No amount of chosen words is sufficient to enumerate the Lord's glory, and yet he is satisfied by such prayers as the Father is satisfied even by the broken linguistic attempts of the growing child. The word Maya is used both in the sense of delusion and mercy. Herein, the word Maya is used in the sense of the Lord's mercy upon Kunti Devi. So the translation again, Sutta Goswami said, the blessed Lord, thus hearing the prayers of Kunti Devi, composed in choice words for his glorification, mildly smile. That smile was as enchanting as his mystic power. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalan Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarabhutam Prajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahalalita Sri Vishakam Vitamascha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagalpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namashtute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Shri Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vishnavanu Sata Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vastatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shitatmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Janamane Jai Gaura Hari 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 Bol Jai Shri Nitai Hari Bol Hari Bol. So dear devotees, I thank you very much again for inviting me on your wonderful platform of diversity. I'm so encouraged by all the diverse speakers that you have on this platform, and I'm grateful to be included. Thank you so much. Thanks to all the organizers. Yes, thank you. Thank you. This verse today is bringing this theme for me of personalism, Queen Kunti being amazing personal devotee with the Supreme Lord. And so I was thinking of this platform as being the ultimate in personalism, that there's a phrase being coined right now that says, we want to be radically personal. So this phrase of radical personalism for devotees is something that we aspire for. Why is that? Because ultimately that radical personalism starts and ends with Krishna. that Krishna is a person, and those that are having association with him, like Kunti Devi, their relationship is so personal, and they allow us to enter into this personal, very, very personal relationship. And so I'm loving that we are here in this part of the Bhagavatam, which is a beloved part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's so beloved that Srila Prabhupada, he speaks on it on these verses of Kunti Devi, many, many, many times. These are some of his favorite verses to quote. And also Srila Prabhupada, he has been told by some of the speakers on this platform, he's written a book about these prayers of Kunti Devi called The Teachings of Queen Kunti. And so this is, now we've come to the end of Kunti's prayers. And Kunti, she's recited these beautiful, beautiful prayers to Krishna. She's spoken these beautiful prayers to Krishna. And Krishna is pleased. Krishna is pleased. Krishna is happy. So Krishna gives Kunti this very mild smile that's been spoken here in the Bhagavatam. And a couple of points that is important for us as we are aspiring to follow in the footsteps of great devotees like Kunti Devi. Important things to remember is that when Krishna heard the prayers of Kunti, they'll just by the words that Kunti used to speak to Krishna, these choice words that's being explained here in the Bhagavatam, that she used choice words. And so choice words are reflective of all of the associates of Krishna that speaks in prayers. We've learned over the last, verses that Kunti have spoken, that prayers are ultimately, at least prayers from the devotees of Krishna, are filled with knowledge. Prayers are to help us, to understand who Krishna is. And there's so many great devotees that have prayed to the Lord, and we can learn from their prayers as we are learning from Kunti Devi. So Sutta Goswami is describing how much Krishna appreciated those choice words, because in the purport, Prabhupada speaks about that anything that is enchanting in the world is said to be representative of the Lord. Anything in the world. And we know that in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is explained that beauty in the world is the smile of Krishna, all the beauty we see in the world. And so sometimes we tend to think, in many cases, we tend to not want to say anything nice about the material world. As devotees, we are kind of a little bit trained to think that there's nothing wonderful in the material world. There's nothing, ultimately, our duty is to just get out of the material world. And that's actually quite very true. That's Krishna has said that in many different places. We read that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us the Maha Mantra to help us to understand how to get out of the material world. However, if we can understand also that the material world is a reflection, it's a reflection of the spiritual world. And so as a reflection, it's definite, we cannot experience the beauty of the reflection in the same way as when we are understanding what the real thing is, when we have that realization of the real beauty of the spiritual world. Then this material world becomes kind of like just not so attractive. However, Prabhupada tells us in the purport that anything that's enchanting in this world is said to be a representation of the Lord. So enchanting is such a beautiful word, right? Enchanting means that someone is really appreciating and someone is mesmerized, someone is really kind of so attracted to something. And so we know that the conditioned souls are very attracted to the material world. And why is that? Why are we, as conditioned living entities that are aspiring to learn from these prayers from Kunti Devi? Now we're aspiring to learn from them. So why are we attracted to the material world? What is it about the material world that kind of binds us? Well, Krishna says everything in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna speaks, his vibhutis are explained. And Krishna explains that all of this, everything is just like a touch, a splendor of my splendor, just a tip of understanding my splendor. And so here in the material world, we tend to not, as I was sharing, we tend to not want to acknowledge that there is some beauty. There's lots of beauty, except that the beauty is temporary because it's a reflection. And so that's important to know. At the same time, the beauty can be very mesmerizing. I was recently looking at a documentary about people that are very excited about learning about the Earth planet. I'm very excited. And so they travel to different places and they share, aspects of these different places that they visit. And so they travel all over the world. And something that for me that was significant about this documentary is that most of the people most of the contacts that they would make would be contacts of the natural beauty of Krishna. They would go to places where, for example, you can just see the ocean in its splendor, because the ocean, if you go to certain places in this world, it's just really extremely beautiful. I remember the first time that I went to Lome, and I saw the water there. It was just really, really incredible to see the ocean in Lome on the way from Ghana to Nigeria. Extremely beautiful. And so there are the mountains. When somebody really look at the mountains in this material world, there are many beautiful mountains. There's so much beauty in seeing, the material world in terms of its natural habitats, the natural things that are here in the world. And so here Prabhupada is explaining to us that yes, everything that we see, this beauty is coming from Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. And so Kunti is praying in this very beautiful verse here. She's actually finished her prayer. She's come to the end of her prayers, and now she's having this interaction with Krishna. Now Krishna is responding to these wonderful prayers that she has just completed. And so here he gives this smile. There's a very beautiful smile. And so we want to share a little bit about those persons that have interacted with Krishna in ways where they either got Krishna's smile or they spoke about Krishna's smile. So there's so many beautiful, wonderful devotees that have offered prayers, including Mother Kunti. Of course, Mother Kunti is, like I said, some of the favorites. She's actually this understanding of Vandanam, which is one of the 9 processes of devotional service. Kunti's prayers are explained to be the essence of Vandanam, the essence of prayers. And so we can learn from so many of these great personalities that have offered prayers to the Lord. And I wanted to just kind of share a few of these personalities. So for example, the prayers of Dhruva Maharaj. And we know that Dhruva Maharaj, he was 5 years old and he wanted to offer prayers to the Lord. However, he didn't know how to do it. He didn't know how to offer prayers. And he got the instruction from his mother to perform austerities, and he followed that. However, he didn't quite know how to pray. And we know that Krishna, the Lord, appeared and touched him, right, with the conch shell. And so in that way, Dhruva was able to enter into this mood of prayer, because praying is a mood. It's a certain mood that one has, one develops. And so in one of the prayers of Dhruva Maharaj, from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Dhruva Maharaj says, "O great one, O supreme personality of Godhead, O supreme master of all mystic powers, your pastimes are taking place continuously in the three worlds. Who can estimate how and when you are enjoying your spiritual energy and performing these innumerable pastimes? Innumerable pastimes. No one can understand the majesty of how your spiritual energy acts. No one can understand." So when we hear this prayer of Dhruva Maharaj, and Dhruva made many prayers, this is just one of the many prayers that he made. He's glorifying the Lord in this way where we can just kind of contemplate, wow, what is the deep meaning of what Dhruva Maharaj is sharing? And so Dhruva Maharaj in these prayers, he's calling out to Krishna with these, as Kunti Devi, these choice words, these beautiful words, which is explained, Prabhupada explained in this purport, that that Srimati Kunti Devi prayed to the Lord just to enunciate a fragment of his glories, and that all devotees worship him in that way, all devotees, by choice words. And therefore the Lord is known as Uttama Shloka. So the Lord is known as Uttama Shloka because how of the words, of the way that the devotees approach it. Personalism, right? Radical personalism. Oh, my Lord, oh, majesty, oh, supreme one, oh, personality of Godhead, oh, supreme master, oh, of all mystic power, you are the supreme master of all mystic power. And right there, we can learn from Dhruva and just note that one line. Oh, really? I thought the Devas were the master of mystic powers. Or I thought maybe I am the master of mystic powers. Sometimes, in the material world, we're so bewildered and confused, we can think that, we're the ones that's creating different things, The scientists, that's the mood. They think they're creating so many wonderful things, and they're making humanity aware of maybe what we think might not be possible, what is considered mystic. The scientists, they're thinking like that. They're absorbed in that way. However, Dhruva Maharaj, he says, you are the master of mystic powers. And then he talks about Krishna's pastimes. So this pastime with Kunti Devi, of course, we all know this pastime from the Mahabharata, and Kunti Devi is Krishna's aunt. And we know that there's this amazing personal relationship that Kunti has with Krishna. And that although Kunti has gone through so much, she's encountered so many different dangerous situations, she has full faith in Krishna, full, complete faith. And so with that faith, she can offer these prayers, understanding that Krishna is everything for her. Kunti says that she's the most fortunate. She's the most fortunate because of Krishna protecting her and protecting her son. Kunti Devi also explains to us that the Lord is inconceivable. And we hear this from Dhruva Maharaj also. Dhruva Maharaj is also saying, no one can understand. No one can understand the mystery of your spiritual acts. No one can really understand. We can hear, which is very important for the devotees, for us as aspiring devotees, to hear and to pray for the mercy of our spiritual master and to pray for the mercy of the Supreme Lord. However, it's important to not think that we really understand these activities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Dhruva says, no, nobody can really understand. And we see that in Kunti's prayers. We have read all the prayers of Kunti Devi. It's amazing that this yatra is at this place, where they can really reflect on all of these prayers of Kunti and what is it that Kunti is actually teaching us? What is the knowledge that we're receiving from Kunti Devi. And so we see that Kunti Devi also, she tells us that there are different opinions on the Lord's birth. There are different people that say different reasons why Krishna appeared, and that's important for us to know that, because we can get caught in thinking there's only one explanation to Krishna's birth. And no, there's quite a few. Different authorities have spoken on different aspects of why Krishna has appeared on the earth. Krishna also in Kunti's prayers, we learn about the greed to want more association of Krishna. Kunti has specific prayers that acknowledges, that says, okay, Krishna, you're leaving, but why? This is not the time to leave. We need your association. We want your association. So we learn, we get this knowledge from Kunti Devi about wanting how to get this association, or how Krishna within our own personal lives, as we experience in our own life, how to pray to understand this association that we have received from the Lord by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, of course. And so here we see that these great personalities, so many great personalities, as I'm sharing, they pray in this mood. They pray like this. And so in the prayers of Muchukunda, he prays when the material life of the wandering souls have ceased, when the wandering life of the souls have ceased. O Achyuta, that person may then attain association of your devotees. And when that person associates with the devotees, there awaken within that person devotion to you, devotion unto you. You are the goal of the devotees of the Lord, of all causes and their effects. So how can we understand this prayer of Muchukunda? Muchukunda is acknowledging that the mood, in that mood of prayer, he's acknowledging the importance of the association of devotees. And we know that Srila Prabhupada has shared in so many places, so many of his books. We can learn that one of the keys to really enter into this personal relationship, this personal association with the Lord, is through the Lord's devotees. Actually, what is it that Krishna says? That you can please me by pleasing my devotees. And so how do we please Krishna? How do we, as this verse is sharing, get Krishna's smile? Kunti got Krishna's smile because she had so much faith in Krishna. She never wavered, ever, ever, ever. No matter what was going on, she never wavered. She had this faith in Krishna. And so that faith awarded her this magnanimous smile of the Lord. And all of us are aspiring. We're all aspiring for this smile of Krishna, whether we realize it or not. How we understand that? How can we understand that we're all aspiring for the smile of Krishna? Because we can understand, even in the material world, even in our conditioned state, we can understand how much we benefit just by getting the smile of another person in the material world. Smiles are considered therapeutic, actually. Smiles are considered that it ignites in the brain, a chemical that can make a person happy. And so this is proven by scientists, by the scientists, that one of the primary elements for reducing stress for humanity is to be able to smile, And so therefore we can understand, even in the material world, there is a blessing, we can say, from having the smile of another person, because that smile will reduce all of our different anxieties, right? And so we hanker when we're around people that are always smiling. We love that. We like to be around them. Like sometimes I watch Salika's smile and I'm just like, Wow, it's just so beautiful because he's always smiling. When he's asking questions, he's smiling. And I'm just like excited. Wow, he's all, this is so beautiful because it sends this chemical, that awaken some aspects of happiness within us. So if the conditioned soul can experience this, what to speak about the Lord? When the Lord smiles, what happens? Krishna says in this verse, I believe in the Sanskrit, it says universes benefit from Krishna's smile. Universes. So if we can just grasp a little bit of that understanding that we want to get Krishna's smile, or we want to serve those persons that are experiencing Krishna's smile, then that's the beauty of understanding Muchakunda's prayer. Muchakunda is saying association of the devotees, and not just associating. We can associate with devotees and not really motivate or inspire or encourage each other. We can do that. Sometimes we're very expert at doing that, more expert at doing that than being with devotees that are encouraging to us, that are inspiring, that are nourishing, that are helping us to remember that most of what separates us from each other and most of what separates us from understanding or being in this mood of prayer with Krishna is, of course, our false egos. That's our separation. And so we learn from these prayers how to make our false egos our friend. That's what we learn. How we can transform these all the hankerings of the false ego that create separation. Help us to understand, okay, dear Lord, as we pray in the mood of radical personalism, Krishna is a person, and we approach Krishna with the right words, as being explained here in this purport. So Muchakunda, he has these choice words, and the choice words are, please just give me the association of your devotees. Just give me that. Just please give me that. And then, of course, we have the prayers of the gopis. Right? That's the topmost of prayers, because there's such intimacy in the relationship. As we know, there's different relationships we can have with the Lord. And so the gopis, they have this conjugal relationship, which is the topmost form of intimacy. And so when they pray in a mood of familiarity with the Lord, a mood of, I can say anything I want to say to you, because after all, you're my Lord. You're my Lord. And so in one of the prayers of the gopis, and there are many prayers again of the gopis, one of the prayers, Krishna, the gopis are speaking about Krishna's smile, and they say like this: your smiles, your sweet loving glances, the intimate pastimes and confidential talks we enjoyed with you, all these are auspicious to meditate upon, and they touch our hearts. But at the same time, oh, deceiver, they very much agitate our minds, very much. So this is the gopis. They have this very familiar relationship. They can be angry with Krishna. They can chastise Krishna. They can, say whatever they want to Krishna. And Krishna just smiles, When Krishna had left and gone to Mathura, and the gopis were so distressed. They were so angry. They were so disturbed. And then Krishna came back, and he came, and the gopis many of them were gathered at Mother Yashoda's house. So Krishna walked in with Balaram into Mother Yashoda's house, and so the gopis they're upset because he's gone, he's left. However, just by Krishna coming in and greeting his mother, hugging his mother, and then looking at the gopis and smiling. Just smiling. That was it for the gopis. That was it. They were done. It was like, okay, they can't hold on, to the anger that they had experienced. And even that anger for us, as we're aspiring to be devotees, we're learning is the love that the gopis have for Krishna. It's not the same kind of anger that comes from false ego as we experience in the material world. And so as we understand this mood of that everything that is enchanting in the world, everything enchanting in the world is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this enchantment that we get from people that smile, that increase our endorphins, right? That brings us a little joy in our life by that smile. That smile is a million, zillion, gazillion times increased when a person gets smile from Krishna, a gazillion times. So we aspire for that. And how do we aspire for that? Through his devotees, through those persons like Kunta Devi that got that smile. She received that smile. And there are many devotees that have received that smile. So I want to share a few of those devotees that experienced the smile of Krishna. That smile of Krishna is explained, as we said, to affect so many different planetary systems. And so these devotees, for example, we talked about the gopis, of course. They're the topmost. And so we can learn from them about Krishna and what they experience when Krishna smiles. And so we learn that they experience that they cannot stay angry, they cannot stay disturbed with Krishna when he smiles. We remember the story of Sudama Brahmana when his wife requested that he go to Krishna. And we remember that when Sudama Brahmana entered into the palace of Krishna, then when Krishna saw him, the first thing Krishna did was to smile. And even though Sudama Brahmana was feeling a little bit, not disconnected from going to ask Krishna for something, he didn't want to do that. However, he understood there was a need for him to do it. However, he didn't want to because he didn't really want to request something of his friend. He just thought, sometimes we think, as regular conditioned souls, we go and we visit someone, and we may want something from that person. However, we might not be so inclined to ask them when we first go there, when we go to see them, because it's just not etiquette, right? It's just not the proper etiquette. So Sudama wasn't, he didn't want to ask. At the same time, Krishna already knew, because Krishna knows everything. Krishna knew why Sudama was coming. And he knew that he was bringing him foodstuffs, from his wife. And so he said this to Sudama, although Sudama is just bringing this chipped rice, right? But Krishna says, oh, you brought all this food stuff for me. And he's smiling and saying this to him, oh, you brought all this food stuff. And then Sudama gets disarmored, right? Totally got disarmored by this amazing, beautiful, wonderful smile of the Lord. So when we think about the smile of the Lord, we think of personalities, because bhakti is a personal movement. Bhakti is a movement for us, as we said, to develop this radical personalism within ourselves. By the mercy, we get this mercy from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has kindly given us prayers himself. When he prayed on the Jaladuta, coming to America, when we read these prayers and we enter into these prayers, we can really understand how this person was so connected to Krishna, because he was just fully throwing up his hands. I don't know, my Lord. I don't know what's in store for me here in this place, but please, he's praying like that to the Lord. And so as we hear from these associates of the Lord, the hearing is to inspire us to enter into the mood. And there are different moods. There's different moods of prayers. And so we see that Akura, we know that he had this personal relationship with Krishna. And we know that when he was asked by Kamsa, to be a representative, he was deputized by Kamsa to go on this mission. He was on this mission. He was sent on this mission to approach Krishna. He understood, that he was kind of like being sent by the enemy. However, in his heart, he knew that Krishna understood who he was, you know, although he was risking, risking himself in one sense, because he's totally sent by the enemy, right? So, but when he approached Krishna with folded hands, he approached Krishna, immediately Krishna just smiled at him, just lovingly, it's explained. Krishna gave him this loving smile. And our Kura says, this smile of Krishna is releasing me from all sinful activities. So Kunti Devi, back to Kunti Devi, she is teaching us from her prayers that, yes, that when we pray to the Lord in the mood with choice words, with carefully choosing our words for prayer. And choice words, what does that mean? It means glorifying the Lord. It means accepting and understanding who Krishna is and really praying in a mood of service, being a servant to the Lord. In that mood, then Krishna reciprocates. And so Akrura is being a servant, even though he was being a servant for the wrong side in one sense. Krishna knew his heart. Akrura also knew Krishna knew his heart. And so in that way, we can understand that when we pray in the right mood, we can be relieved of our sinful activities. And some other person that received this mercy of Krishna's smile is remember the story of the hunchback lady, and she had this all the sandalwood, right? And she was taking it to Kamsa, and so Krishna wanted it. Him and Balaram, they're like kind of joking, and this belongs to me, right? Krishna is like so playful, and he really was able. He's always able. He really knew exactly what to do for each and every one of his devotees. He just knew exactly how to connect. So he wanted this sandalwood. And so this hunchback is having the sandalwood to take to Kamsa. And then Krishna just smiled at her. And in that way, that hunchback lady, she gave Krishna, she smeared all this sandalwood pulp, right, on Krishna and Balaram. So again, this is the mood of Krishna's devotees. Once they get the smile of Krishna, then they become fully surrendered. And of course, we know, in Brahma's prayers, Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita, the Brahma is praying. He's just praying. Shama Sundar, if I can just hear your flute, because the flute music brings the smile of Krishna. And he's explaining in Lord Brahma is explaining. He says, if I could just get your smile, because that brings blessings. The smile brings blessings. And that smile, once I get that smile, it's everlasting. It never goes away. Never, ever goes away. And we know, that also in the third canto of Bhagavatam, it's explained in the purport, in Prabhupada's purport, that a yogi, they meditate on the smile of the Lord, of Lord Hari. They meditate on this beautiful, wonderful smile. Prabhupada also says in that purport that those who understand the smile of Krishna dries up the ocean of tears that one experiences when they have grief, when they're grieving. That this smile just kind of let the person become free, become relieved. And we see that this is happening with Kunti, right? Krishna is leaving. He's going to Dwarka. He's leaving. And Kunti's grieving because she's understanding, I don't want you to go, Krishna. I don't want you to go. You can't go now. We need your association. People are angry with us. This is not a time for you to go. And so she's grieving, and she's also feeling the separation. And Krishna, in this smile, it's explained that the smile of Krishna, the smile, it drives away oceans of tears, oceans of tears. And so Kunti Devi in her heart, because her prayers are heartfelt. So in her heart, once she's given the smile of Krishna, she's relieved of this mood of separation. She's relieved. And so many of us understand, as devotees aspiring to serve the Lord, especially those of you that are pujaris, that do pujari service, you know that when you engage in that service, that there is a hankering to have the Lord smile. Generally, we can see devotees once the pujari is completed, serving the deities, and the deities' curtains open up. And then we can see devotees sometimes saying to each other about the different beauty of the Lord. And we can often hear devotees say, yeah, Krishna is smiling. You see Krishna's face? So like he's smiling. We can experience this, especially in everywhere, everywhere. However, in places like Mayapur and Vrindavan, and you go into the temple and you see Radha Shamashundar, and you look at you look at Krishna, or you see Krishna Balaram, and you think, oh yeah, the Lord is smiling. The Lord is smiling at me. If we're kind of a little crazy, we think like that. Krishna is smiling at me. Just see, because there's a hankering for that. We want to experience that smile, and so Krishna teaches us how to get that smile. We learn from personalities like Kunti Devi what we need to do in order to get that smile of Krishna. And so in conclusion, I am giving a short class today because this class this verse is short, however, very deep. Krishna is worshipped as Uttama Shloka because when we speak about Krishna, we want to speak about Krishna in ways that is glorifying who Krishna is, which means that we need to learn about Krishna. We need to hear Krishna's pastimes. We need to pray to get the mercy to enter into these amazing, beautiful, wonderful pastimes of the Lord. And when this happens, if we are able to a little bit enter, and of course, this is we know from the Bhagavad Gita, we know that that Krishna explains, I believe, in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 1865, somewhere around that part of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains when a person fully give themselves to the Lord in service, fully in service, then the Lord always will reciprocate. Prabhu, can you pull up that verse, that Bhagavad Gita verse? I think it's 1865. If you can, I just want to see what that, or somebody might know the verse by heart. I remember that verse is such a nice verse. I know Vishwanath Chakrabarti, he comments on that verse and speaks about the Lord and the Lord reciprocating with those that have surrendered, those that are giving themselves to Krishna. And we know that that was the mood of Kunti, right? She fully, totally was dedicated to the Lord. And so she wasn't, Kunti is explained that she had nothing to do with the material world. Although she was appearing to be in a material role, it may appear like that. But Kunti is a pure devotee of the Lord. Nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the Lord, with the material energy. And so we want to understand this, that Kunti is a pure devotee of the Lord. However, Kunti's role is to teach us, and to teach us through Vandanam, through prayers. Yes, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise. This is one of Krishna's promises, right? So important to remember Krishna's promises. I promise you this, he's telling this to Arjuna. And then, of course, he tells Arjuna, well, you decide what you want to do. And we can remember in the second chapter, don't change it yet, Prabhu, please. The second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna, Krishna, they're in the armies, they're in between the armies. Krishna, has this little smile with, because Arjuna is like, whoa, this is huge. This is big. I got to do this. I really got to do this. And Krishna knew like he was going to get a little bit confused. And so Krishna gave this little smile. And then, of course, then in the end, he tells him, decide whatever you want to do. You can decide yourself. And here, this is what he promises him. He says, if you or anyone think of me, become my devotee, right? This is Kunti. Kunti is always thinking of Krishna. Kunti is a devotee of Krishna. Krishna is dead. Kunti is fully surrendered to Krishna. Kunti Devi, worship me and offer homage to me. Yes, Kunti Devi worshiped Krishna all her life, right? She understood that Krishna was God, even though she was playing that role of being an auntie. And of course, Kunti Devi here, she's showing us through prayers, choice words, how to pay homage unto the Lord. And so Krishna, of course, here Krishna tells us that if we can enter this mood, then we will also get that beautiful smile of the Lord. So our focus then, our main focus is to become this example, right? We need examples, and we have them. We have many examples. We have examples in our scriptures. We have examples, personal examples, like Srila Prabhupada, who personally came to teach us. We have Srila Prabhupada's representatives who are amazing. Very amazing in how they're assisting us in understanding deeper aspects of this philosophy, these teachings, and how they're helping us to remove the false ego, which is what separates us from understanding the depth of these prayers. It's only the false ego that's separating us from being able to speak these choice words also, because as we all know, ultimately, we are parts and parcel of the Lord. Not the same in quality, not the same in quantity. However, in quality, we are the same. And so we do have this ability to enter into this mood. We do. What separates us, as I said, is our false ego. And this is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us the holy names of the Lord. He came to beg us. He pleads with us. He shows us by how he approached the demons. Jaga and Madai. He's helping us in so many pastimes, so many ways to take shelter. Just take shelter of the holy names of the Lord. And by taking shelter of the holy names of the Lord, then we can enter. As we take shelter, we enter into this mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayers. Najanamna Danamna Sundarim. We enter these prayers. And once we start entering into these prayers, then we start our false ego becomes minimized. We start becoming free from the false ego. And the false ego starts becoming our friend. And we start understanding, what Krishna says, that the mind can be our best friend, our worst enemy. We start realizing that. And that is the purport of bhakti, to have realizations, not to just speak philosophy. Philosophy is wonderful. However, we need to enter into the philosophy, which is what Kunti Devi and all the great personalities that pray, that's what they teach us with prayers. And so in closing, I just want to share one last prayer from someone that's very dear to me and many people all over the planet. And his name, I'm speaking to you as if you don't know this person, because I'm speaking to you as if you are new coming to Bhakti. This person's name is Bhaktitirtha Swami, and he's one of those representatives of the Lord. And he prayed, and he wrote books about prayers. And one of the prayers that he wrote that's very dear to me is a prayer that's called "Denying the False Ego is a Sign of a Big False Ego." Denying the false ego is a sign of big false ego. And so when we hear that it's only the false ego that's separating us, that false ego will bring up something for some of us. What is that? What are you talking about? False ego, you know? However, once we acknowledge that our separation from the Lord is because of our false ego, and once we acknowledge and we become aware, what are some of those symptoms of my false ego that is separating me from entering into these prayers of great devotees like Kunti Devi, like Muchukunda, like Dhruva Maharaj, like Brahma? Like, what is it that separates me? And we say, oh, because I'm a conditioned soul. Why am I a conditioned soul? I'm a conditioned soul because I believe my false ego. I believe my false ego is separate from the Lord. I believe that I am separate from the Lord. I don't really believe that I have qualities like the Lord. I don't really believe that. I don't really believe Krishna is a person that I can actually speak to. I don't really believe that. Why don't I believe that? Because that I claim to be is my false ego. It's Krishna's, I'm fully absorbed in Krishna's material energy. And that's something that only we individually can go deeper with that. That's something that we need to pray for, the grace and the mercy from the Lord. That's something we need to take responsibility for. And so this is the purpose of these prayers, to bring us to this realization. I need to take responsibility for my spiritual self. I need to be transformative with myself. I can't do it on my own. Yes, my false ego will tell me I can do it on my own. However, when I read the scriptures, I hear these prayers, I know I can't do it on my own. So I'm going to pray to those persons that can help me. And Kunti Devi is one of those persons that can help me. This is bhakti. So in that mood of Kunti Devi, who prayed, let these calamities come again and again and again and again. In that mood of Kunti Devi, who says, yeah, you protected us from poison cake, from this, from that, with that mood of Kunti Devi that says, you're inconceivable, dear Lord. With that mood of this personality named Bhaktitirtha Swami, who says, acknowledge your false ego. Acknowledge that you're separated from Krishna because of your false ego. In that mood, we want to pray. We want to develop this ability to pray, to use choice words to pray. And in that mood, Krishna is hearing and waiting to give us a smile. So let's chant the holy names of the Lord. Let's take shelter of the Lord's devotees, the Lord's glorious devotees. Let's learn from them through their knowledge. Their knowledge is there in the prayers. Most of Bhagavatam are prayers. Most of Srimad Bhagavatam are prayers. And so if we can enter somehow by the grace of the Lord, and we know it's possible. Well, how do we know it's possible? Because Bhaktitirtha Swami did. He did. He wrote books about it. So it's possible. It's possible for each of us. We simply got to pray to remove the false ego. And then we have this amazing, enchanting, beautiful world that we can live in, even in these material bodies. Even in these material bodies. That's possible. And so we aspire for that. That's what we're aspiring for. And we aspiring to make the whole world like that. That's the service of the devotees. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. So we thank you so very much for giving us an opportunity that, to just try to enter into these beautiful pastimes of the Lord. And even for this moment, this 1 hour that I was able to speak, I can say my false ego was like on a shelf, at least for this 1 hour. And then just like, okay, you're over there. That's because I'm just wanting so much to share about Krishna. And so if I can be over there for 1 hour, possibly it can maybe be over there for 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. It's work. It's constantly begging for the mercy of the Lord. And the way we do that is through hearing and through chanting and through praying. One of the 9 processes, anyone. My choice is I love prayers. Thank you so very much. Thank you
so much, my mother, for this wonderful class. So nice. There's nothing more than glorifying the Lord, and it's just The all of the class just kept us completely glued to hearing about the importance and the mode of glorifying the Lord. Thank you so much for the wonderful class once again. We're going to the question and answer sections. I have a question, but I'll keep mine. I'll ask because of the section. There is a question from Ganga Prashad. Ganga Prashad, please can you unmute and ask a question?
Hare Krishna, Mother, Dandawa Pranam, Ugly Sugurang Goranga, Ugly Sisla Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Every time I encounter you is illuminating. Today is like you string pearls, you strung pearls on thread. Different concepts, but they were going in sequence, and it become very, very thought-provoking. I don't want you to stop, so I want you to string these concepts together. In the course of your lecture, or in the course of this series of Bhagavatam, when Kunti started, he mentioned about meditating on the Lord. And he said you meditate from the feet to the knee, to the waist, to the abdomen, and then you go on and on until you come to the smiling face. And today's sloka is mentioned about the smiling face. And in course of your lecture, you had also referred that the smile of Krishna dries up all ocean of tears. So this sequence, I just want you to string them together and culminate it in Aslisiyava Padara Tampinastumam, Adasana Mama Hatankarutuva, Yata Tatava Vidyata Lampatuma, Pranamnata Susaivana Para. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he will remain so. Even if he makes me broken-hearted or handles me roughly, he's free to do anything and everything, along with the smile. Hare Krishna, Mother.
Thank you very much, Ganga Prashad. I'm always inspired by your wisdom. I'm inspired by your smile, and I'm inspired by you taking on this responsibility for bringing awareness about Krishna to other devotees. That's a gracious and a generous offer that you make to Krishna, and that makes Krishna smile. So yes, Aslishava, yes, no one but our Lord, no one but our Lord. That's Kunti Devi's mood. And that's the mood of us as aspiring devotees. We may say we're new in some ways. We are new because material energy is just so intense. At the same time, we're so fortunate. We're fortunate like Kunti Devi because we have these amazing, amazing souls that are helping us to understand. And that prayer you made of Lord Chaitanya, yes, that's the ultimate. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mother. Thank you for the answer. Our next question is from Sadi Prabhu. Sadi Prabhu, please can you unmute and ask your question? Sahar.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Vrajalila Dd. Maharani ki jai.
Saha, my son, how are you, Prabhuji?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you, Mother. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari.
That was a very beautiful class. That reminds me of, as crazy as I am, I've been fortunate to have received beautiful smiles from many great gurus. I've received smiles from Bhaktivinoda Maharaj. I've received smiles from Radhanath Maharaj. I've received smiles from Lokanath Maharaj. And at the very moment I received those smiles, my whole mood, everything, my whole body changed. But unfortunately, it did not stay long with me. So my question is it because I was not reciprocating appropriately? That is why the joy, the bliss of receiving the smiles of these great personalities just vanished from me, unlike in the case of Mother Kunti. That single smile she received from Krishna stayed with her. It never left her. So that is just my question. Hare Krishna.
You're putting me in a spot here, Sahadev Prabhu. No.
No.
The reason I say that is because I teach communication courses, and so much of the communication courses that I've been blessed to teach is to help devotees not to blame themselves, and not to fall into the guilt and the shame of us not being on whatever level we think we're supposed to be on that maybe we're not, because I find that devotees, one of the obstacles of devotees entering into personalism with the Lord is they're blocked by this obsession of blaming and judging and finding faults with ourselves, right? Because we want to be, we have the philosophy and we know, okay, so you're speaking about Kunkunta Devi, and she's on this very elevated understanding of relationship with the Lord. And so her mood of prayer is going to be different than my mood of prayer because I'm nowhere on that level of her realizations of the associations that she's personally had and, so many different aspects of that relationship. However, in my mind, in my minute relationship with the Lord, it's like you said, in your minute relationship with Radhanath Swami and Bhaktitirtha Swami, and you receive those smiles are beneficial for your capacity in bhakti. And that capacity, whatever it may be, is to be honored and to be revered and to be loved. Because, millions and millions and millions and millions of people do not have a clue. They don't have an inkling. They don't have an understanding. If Radhanath Swami was to stand and smile at them, it would be just like another person. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj smile at them, just another person. However, you have that realization and that understanding that these personalities are what they're great personalities. Why are they great personalities? Because they've surrendered their lives, in such a way that they've accepted Srila Prabhupada's mission as their life and soul. And so for those of us that may not yet be on that level of acceptance of Srila Prabhupada's mission as our full life and soul, give everything, let the world be our children, we may not be on that level. We still need to acknowledge, I've seen that smile. And I know that that smile is a beautiful smile. And I know that that smile is awakening my heart. I understand it's awakening my heart. So instead of seeing the glass half empty, which is a tendency of the devotees, we want to see the glass half full. And half full, Sahadev Prabhu, is that you are an amazing soul. I say this all the time. You have your family that you are so responsible to. You have a job that is so difficult to work, as a nurse. And, for me, it's difficult because you're working with, sick people leaving their bodies all the time. That's not so easy. And you, Sahadev Prabhu, understands the purport of the smile of Radhanath Swami, the smile of Bhaktitirtha Swami. So you do understand. And so, you may think you are not getting the reciprocation like Kunti Devi. However, according to your capacity, you're getting enormous reciprocation. You're getting huge reciprocation. So I share this answer only because I'm trying to help the devotees to really move out of this blame syndrome. Yeah, to move out of this syndrome of thinking we're not good enough, to move out of this syndrome that thinks we may not be on whatever level we think we may not be on. All that's there. However, I want us to remember that's false ego stuff. Who are we really? Who are we really? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has this beautiful prayer that I say every single day. Every single day. Chaitanya Dasa Muni Chaitanya Nira Das. Chaitanya Yira Dasa Muni Tanra Dashira Das. I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya, a servant of Lord Chaitanya. I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya and a servant of his servants. Prema Danya Vina Vidharta Daridra Jivana Dashakari Vetana Maure Deha Premadan. Without love of Godhead, my life is useless. Therefore, I pray that you accept me as your servant and give me the salary of ecstatic love of God. So you say that prayer in your own way, with different words maybe. So my dear Sahadev, my son, you are experiencing. And I see it just by how you share, just by the questions you ask. They're so deep. So yeah, thank you very much for being you.
Thank you very much, Mother, for being the mother to us. Mother, I have a question. In the course of the lecture, Mother, you mentioned about naturally in the materially, when something that is unwanted, something that is not good, we want to give it away. And false ego is said to be one of our greatest enemies in the part of becoming a devotee of the Lord. It's blocking our ability to be able to experience that smile of the Lord. But in the course of lecture, you said we have to walk in such a way that we embrace the false ego, make the false ego becomes our friend. And I was wondering, how do we do that?
By what this wonderful, amazing devotee of the Lord said, by acknowledging that we have a false, that we have false ego. By acknowledging, he says, denying the false ego is a sign of a big false ego. So that's one of the first ways to acknowledge that our false ego are causing a separation from the Lord. Okay, now that I know that, what am I going to do about it? Right? I know that. Okay, I have that. At least I might have that theoretical understanding. So we need to become aware of whenever the false ego is acting. Right? We need to become aware of that. We need to see the false ego in action. So when we see the false ego in action, and we become aware of it, then we immediately do something to transform it. We're aware of the knowledge. So, we use the knowledge as a transformative weapon for the false ego. And the knowledge will help us, to make the false ego our friend. So for example, if I am, if my false ego is telling me that, I am so great and I'm so wonderful. Vrajalila, you're so great, whatever. This is my false ego. Immediately I see that. I'm aware. Okay, wow, false ego, here you come. You're tricking me. You want to trick me. You want me to think that I'm such a great person, right? So then immediately, if I'm remembering the prayers of Queen Kunti Devi, I will remember at least one of her prayers and how she prayed. She prayed to the Lord. And so in Kunti Devi's prayers, there's a part of her prayer where she prays to the Lord in the mood of wanting association, right? Wanting the Lord to be there with them, the mood of Krishna staying in the family's association. And so if we just remember that, Kunti Devi, she prayed that Krishna will not go away. So then immediately we can transform the false ego. My dear false ego, I'm so sorry. I'm not that great, because Kunti Devi is praying for who is really great, which is Krishna, right? That's Krishna. That's the Supreme Lord. So my dear Supreme Lord, my dear Lord Krishna, I have no real qualifications. My false ego is crazy, and I really believe my false ego at times. Please help me. Please help me. Please intervene with my false ego. And so therefore, then I'm making the false ego my friend. I'm not like just blaming my false ego and accusing my false ego and just like beating up myself because of my false ego. Okay, we got false ego. This is a fact, material world. That's what it means. However, Krishna is greater than my false ego. Krishna's associates are greater than my false ego. So if I can take shelter of them, and then in that way, my false ego can become my friend. And also secularly, we can understand the benefit of a smile, as I explained, from a scientific point of view. It increases our endorphins. So when the false ego starts doing its thing, which it does, and it will, throughout the day, we can look and see, did I do that out of false ego? We can check with ourselves and just smile to relieve the tension of whatever that false ego is trying to do. And smile at it, like, hey, okay, you're a part of me, you're with me, you've been with me millions of lifetimes. But guess what? I'm aware of you. I know what you're doing. You're trying to keep me in this place. And even though it's very enchanting, this material world, and it can be, you know what, false ego, it's really temporary. And it's actually, if you're not connected to Krishna, if you're not connected to God, it's really miserable. So thank you very much. However, I will, just kind of look in the other direction. I will make a choice in my life to not serve you. I will let you serve Krishna. And we have the ability to do that. Krishna is in our heart. Shirdasha Vishnu, the Lord in our heart, gives us immediately the ability to do that. Immediately. As soon as we make that choice, Krishna steps in and says, okay, I got you covered. Got you covered. All right. You are aware. So awareness is the first thing, my dear Shalika Prabhu, who is so kind. And Ishwara Das, my dear, he's also my son. Ishwara is my son. He's my brother and my son. But to Tirtha Maharaj, he says, my false ego, he says about writing books. He says, writing these books has taken up so much of my valuable time. Why are you not reading and appreciating them? I asked, dismissing him with a grimace. So he's speaking about the books of, I believe, Srila Prabhupada. I'm not reading this whole thing. Anyway, I'm just reading what he says about his false ego. He says, my false ego applauded like a madman. You are such a first-class associate. I am honored to be linked with you. So that's how we think about ourselves sometimes, right? I am so great. I'm so wonderful. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm speaking this. I'm speaking that. Look at me. I'm here. I'm there. It's all false ego stuff. Keeps us separated from the Lord. Absolutely separated. So awareness, I would say, is the first thing. And once we're aware how to apply tools that can transform the ego to become our friend.
Thank you very much, Mother. I'm very grateful for the answer. It goes a long way. There are no questions. I've just checked on this.
Hare Krishna.
Hey.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. I was going
Hare
to call you.
Krishna. Sastra Das, how are you? I am saying Sastra Das in an absolute spiritual sense.
Which Sastra Das?
Sastra Das.
No. Which?
I know this is Ishwara. However, Ishwara, I am glorifying you as Sastra Das, meaning that you are see, false ego is crazy. You are the disseminator of Sastra, and I appreciate that.
Anyway, I'm just very happy that you keep him very, very youthful, very, very youthful always. Since I've known you for the past 40-something years, you still look the same. Almost the same. We've been knowing each other for 43 years now, almost still the same. So that's just the, means you're very dear to Krishna. So, Krishna devotee is always youthful, Sachit, and so it's always very wonderful. Hopefully one day, you will come back to Africa. Yesterday, I was discussing with Ganga Prabhu that the possibility of coming back to Africa. So maybe one of these days, I will go back, and you definitely have to come back also.
I would love that, Ishwara Prabhu. I would love that.
I look forward to that day.
Ishwara Prabhu, this year, my body is going to be 72. My body, wow. My physical body.
But the soul is youthful. The soul doesn't.
Exactly. That is the point. That is the point. As long as we beg for mercy to stay in association of devotees and stay in devotional service and keep chanting Hare Krishna, even though I have no absolute taste, I just keep trying. Then Krishna in the heart, he takes care in ways that beyond what we can understand. And one of those ways is that he keeps us youthful because we are connected to him. Ultimately, he's eternally youthful, right?
Yeah. So his devotee is also youthful. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I joined, I was 19, and nobody can believe I'm 62 now. When I joined, I was 19 when I joined the movement. You were there, so you witnessed it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So,
And I appreciate you so much, Ishwar, because you are such a beautiful example of a person that is so dedicated, you know, to offering the scriptures to people from all different sources, all different places. You take the time to try to learn about this, to learn the scriptures from different perspectives. And sometimes that can bring up a lot of stuff for people, you know. However, I'm sure that there are also people that benefit from that. So I thank you very, very much. Thank you. And I see Saradia is saying that she also wants to come. Of course, Saradia, you're in South Africa. You're in Africa. So, however, I'm understanding what you're saying. You want to come to West Africa, yeah, which is different than South Africa. I'm teaching a woman. I have a women's group in South Africa, and it's quite interesting because the mood is so different. The mood is so different. I mean, we have a very intimate group, and I you know, it's really wonderful because I've been with the devotees, the women devotees in West Africa, you know, early in my devotional life, and now working with the women in South Africa, I can see, oh, there's a different way. There's a different mood, even different. The names are even different. So yes, Sardia, I think coming to West Africa will be wonderful for you. We'll all come together.
yeah, hopefully Krishna will answer the prayer.
He will. He will.
Sure. Because a lot of meditation is going in this direction, and all of the devotees are just crying since Gurudev left the planet. There is some kind of a vacuum, and then if somehow or other, some of his senior disciples, like yourself, Ishwara people, Mother Vrajalila, and some of these great devotees who come to West Africa, I think it will be enlivening for devotees in this region.
Salika, I want to tell you a little secret. The devotees in West Africa enliven us.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, we can come on, you know, just so many, you have so many amazing speakers, and, you know, you're doing so many beautiful things, you know, to develop the African Yatra. We're inspired by you and so many wonderful, dedicated devotees that have been there for years. You know, there's so much. You have so much treasure right there amongst yourselves. We're coming. If we come, we're coming there to learn from you, from all of you. One thing we can learn for sure is how to work the land. You know, that's so important. Mother Earth. We need to understand that. We need to know how to get our hands in the earth. I believe that.
Thank you very much for the word of encouragement, Mother. We're really grateful for this. There is a comment on the chat box from Niti Lakshana Dd. She says, sorry, I couldn't keep my video. Oh, it's all right. She's making book for the deity, so she couldn't put our video on. We appreciate your presence, and she's mentioned earlier, she really appreciates your lecture.
Thank you. I see Dr. George has his hand up also.
Mataji, thank you for enlightening your lecture once again. I've been joining this group, and I tell you one thing, it's always the time when I'm making a boga, and I do listen to it, and that gives a good vibes on my boga as well, from all of you devotees on the group as well, and the lecturers who gives the lecture. I'm originally from East Africa, to be honest, and I'm so sad. I always curse. I mean, I said I always was upset with my parents bringing us in Britain. I was only 12 years old, and I loved that country. You know, the people down there used to really look after us, and I wish I can go back to the country that I was born. I don't feel that I belong here in Britain. I belong in Africa. But obviously now, I mean, it's going to be 62 soon. And you know, I'm settled in this country now, and I've got a husband to think of, so he won't move from here. So I wish I can come to South Africa and meet you all as well. And hopefully with this COVID-19 goes away, my first trip is to South Africa, because my Guru Maharaj loves South Africa. is always dreaming about it, especially your Rath Yatra is actually mentioned it on the group. And I would love to watch that Rath Yatra and join you all as well. So hopefully pray for me that I can do one day. Thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you for enlightening me your class, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Haribol Nitya Lakshana, Melissa Lakshana. I'm guessing you're making this beautiful preparation for Krishna. Krishna is smiling that you're getting ready to make an offering for him.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Have a nice day. Everybody take care of yourself. Haribol.
Hari Haribol.
Yes, Mother, we have a question from Dr. George Amega. George, please kindly unmute and ask a question.
My humble obeisance.
Haribol, you're hanging in there.
Okay.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, Mother. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Mother, I would like to know, Krishna says from him comes remembrance and forgetfulness. And as a jiva, I know we have our minute independence. So in actuality, I don't think that Krishna is already doing everything. So this independence that we have in a minute form, what actually do we use it for? Already Krishna is doing everything, either to remember him or not to remember. He is the one doing it. So as a jiva, individual jivas, what actually are we supposed to do with this independence that we have? Hare Krishna. That's my question, Mother.
Thank you, Dr. George. That's such a beautiful question. Yeah, that's a beautiful question. Well, let's bring it down to our world first and just explore it from that place. You know, sometimes we're with our parents and we live with our parents. And our parents, you know, they make decisions. Usually at a certain age, they make decisions for us. And then at a point in our life, our parents gives us some freedom, right, to go and make our life, define our life the way we want to define it. And we make choices in defining our lives. Sometimes those choices are choices in ways that our parents taught us. And sometimes they're not. In America, I see a lot of children that choose to not perhaps follow the things that they were taught by their parents. And so Krishna, yes, he's such a wonderful father. He's such a loving father that he's making all the decisions. Ultimately, this is true. However, this little minute independence you talked about is our opportunity to make some choices. And so when we make those choices, those choices will define whether we get closer to him or not closer to him. The ultimate goal is to come closer to him. However, he won't force us to come closer to him. We need to make a choice about that, right? We need to choose. And so this little minute independence is to give us this ability to think we are making some choices. You know, we're doing something. This is the mood of why we actually become controllers, because we think that we are the ones doing it. We think that we're the ones making the choices. And in some small way, we are, minutely, we are. However, ultimately, as you're so nice to say, Dr. George, you know, such realization that you're getting, this minute independence that's given to us is ultimately to give us an opportunity to remember Krishna. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, we see, you know, Krishna spoke to Arjuna, 18 chapters, right? And he gave him all this knowledge. However, in the end, he said, okay, now you decide. You decide. Now, ultimately, Arjuna's choice, because he's a pure devotee of the Lord, is always to follow Krishna. However, Krishna is teaching us by that example. He's saying, you have a little freedom here, you decide. And so we have this little freedom in one sense. However, if we don't decide to love or care or understand anything about Krishna, then the other choice is, to hear, to learn, to understand more about Krishna's material energy. Those are the two choices. And if we choose to learn more about Krishna's material energy, then we can stay many lifetimes learning that, trying to learn the material energy. And material energy is just so temporary. So we just get recycled over and over and over again to learn something that's just temporary, to be in something that's just temporary. So at some point, we all kind of decide at some point, I don't like this so much. I don't like just repeating this over and over and over again, right? The same thing, same lesson, so many lifetimes, millions sometimes. And then this minute independence of making that choice to love Krishna. That is the sweetness of the relationship with Krishna. It's so personal. It's so personal, He makes us think that we have these choices. So thank you for asking that question. And if anyone else would like to add to that, I'm happy to help Dr. George, because that's an important question. Ishwar, would you like to add anything? Prabhu?
Ishwar Prabhu, can you unmute? Ishwar Prabhu, please can you unmute? Do you want to add something?
You're muted. Muted.
Oh, muted. What was your question to me?
Would you like to share something with Dr. George about our minute independence that Krishna is tricking us with?
Of course, we always minute independent. We just have to, really realize how minute we are. But sometimes we tend to think we are much more than minute. We love to exalt our greatness. And of course, Krishna has a way of making us humble, of course. So I have that personal experience many, many times, how I had to be humble. And of course, you are very, very expert in making me realize how insignificant I was, so during our years together. So anyway, you said it quite well.
Okay, thank you very much, Ishwara Prabhu, for the contribution. Mother, we have another question from, I know you have a lot of engagement for today, and I'm trying to see how we can close up on this soon. But Astamodina Valada Prabhu's hand is up, so I hope you can still accommodate that.
Yes, Astamodina.
Astamodina Valada. Please, can you unmute and ask your question?
Hare Krishna, Mother.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for your wonderful submission.
Thank you.
My question goes to your lecture on the smiling of Krishna. And those of us who are beginners, we've noticed that on the altar, the various deities, they present themselves differently to each person. Each person see the deities in a different way. For instance, personally, Sri Radha normally appeals to me. Anytime I appear before the altar, I see Radha very pronounced, smiling, sometimes frowning her face, which make her more beautiful. Sometimes she feels the dress. That is what I normally see. She is always being attractive to me. And another person says, when I discuss it with another devotee, he says, no, it's rather Krishna. Krishna always changes. The rest, I don't see much. Recently, one Prabhu was saying that one mother approached him and says, Subhadra, always changing. Sometimes she dances when the kirtan is going on. You could see that as neophytes, we all see the deities differently. Is it because of our position as beginners? Or that is how it's supposed to be? Hare Krishna, Mother.
Hari Hari Bol, such an amazing question, Astamo. Wow, that's going into the depth of some of the prayers of these great devotees. Yeah, that's such deep understanding. So yes, the Lord is so kind. The Lord is so merciful that the Lord appears different ways. You know, we all have different relationships with Krishna, and so we can experience the Lord, you know, in different moods as you're sharing. So when you connect with Srimati Radharani, you experience a certain mood of Srimati Radharani. And when someone else connects with Lady Subhadra, they experience a certain mood. Srimati Radharani, as you may know, is a topmost of what we can understand of Krishna, of the Lord in the spiritual world. For our reflection on Srimati Radharani, we think about Lord Chaitanya, who appeared 500 years ago in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he has given to us in order to appreciate the different moods of the Lord is to chant the holy names of the Lord. So as we chant Hare Krishna, as we chant that mantra, then the Lord reveals himself more and more and more. And you know, Astamo, in the very beginning of Krishna consciousness, and I remember when I first joined Krishna consciousness in 1979. Today is Snanyatra. Oh, how beautiful. Yeah, how beautiful. So the Lord is getting bathed today. When I first joined, I remember the first deities I saw was Radha Govinda in New York City. And when I saw them, I just started crying. I couldn't stop crying. You know, I just cried and cried and cried. And Radha Govinda, very beautiful deities, extremely, extremely beautiful. I didn't quite understand why I was crying. Later, as I, you know, stayed trying to be a devotee, and I'm still trying to be a devotee, I understood that my connection with the Lord at that moment was letting go of like millions of lifetimes of karmic situations. And so that connection, that immediate connection, somehow connected very deeply with my heart. And, you know, I sometimes pray to have some of those experiences that I had in the very beginning with the Lord, because now I'm like, oh, Krishna, can you let me know my heart is not like a stone, please. So in the beginning, we get Krishna is kind. He gives us like an open door. He gives us like a key to just like see him and experience him in the very beginning. But then what happens, you know, and Astamo, I want you to remember this. What happens is we take things for granted as we go on practicing devotional life. And then Krishna disappears. Krishna can disappear. He can be there on the altar and you not feel anything that like you're feeling now. So we really want to always pray to not let that mood go away. We always want to pray that we are always serving the devotees nicely. We always want to pray that we're not criticizing and judging the devotees for things we don't understand. We always want to pray to be in a mood of humility, that somehow we can make these false egos that we have our friends, because Krishna will disappear. His mood will disappear if we don't do that. And you'll stand at the altar one day, and maybe one day, sometimes many devotees have stood at the altar and asked, are you really God? Are you really God? So it's a sweet opportunity or a sweet introduction that you are receiving. So sweet, so beautiful. Try to hold on to it. You know, and the only way you can hold on to it is to become humble. Trinada Pisanichena. That verse of Lord Chaitanya, he says, wear it around your neck. we wear it around our necks. All of us wear it around our necks, because Krishna can disappear from us. And we can just be in emotion. We can just be doing all the Dd service. We can just be looking at the Lord. We can just be writing books. We can just be doing kirtan. But Krishna is not, we're not really experiencing Krishna. Right now, you're experiencing Krishna. And so I am joyful to hear. I'm joyful to hear that you're connecting with Srimati Radharani, because she's the topmost of Krishna. And she will definitely bring you closer to Krishna. And the other person that's experiencing Krishna, Krishna will bring him closer to Radharani. And the person that's experiencing Subhadra, Krishna will bring the person closer to Subhadra. Subhadra will bring that person closer to Radharani and Krishna. This is how it works. They're interconnected. They're not separate. And they work together for our benefit. Our benefit. So you're very fortunate. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Mother. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. The Tagora. So anything else, Salika Prabhu? You are muted.
Sorry. I didn't know I muted at the point. Yes, I said sometimes I get tempted to pray that COVID-19 should continue so that we can have this opportunity to meet devotees all over the world. Because for someone like me, who doesn't have that much opportunity to travel around the whole of the globe, I see opportunity in this platform, because since the COVID-19, I've had to meet some amazing devotees, some amazing, wonderful devotees that I will never have met in the whole of course of my life. So, but then we can pray for the negative. So we want to appreciate you so much for coming, and then we hope and look forward to see you very soon again.
Prabhu. Thank you very much. And thanks for all the devotees that's here on the call. Thanks to my dear friend. So many friends are here. Maybe I'll see my view so I could just see quickly who's here. Gallery view. And we are, okay. Narayani, Constantina, Nitai Lakshana, Rati, Loka Devi. I'm just looking at I'm just acknowledging right now for a minute some of the Matajis.
Somebody Shad also was here. Okay, she's still here.
Okay, Saradia, Aishapanishad, and then our who we cannot, everything is arranged by Krishna in terms of us, how do you say, like complementing each other. So we cannot be separate from our males cannot be separate from us. So our dear males that are leading and protecting us in so many ways, Ishvara, Stephen, Shalika, Ashtamo, Keshava. Leela is here, my dear Leela. Tom, Sahadev Prabhu, who is probably working.
Actually, that's actually Varaha Prabhu.
Varaha? Where? Tom?
Yeah, Tom Sayer is actually Varaha Prabhu.
Yeah, I know Varaha Prabhu. Varaha, this is like, wow. I am honored, and I am so appreciative that you are on this call. I'm so sorry that I didn't know you were on the call, or otherwise I would have requested you to share something. You're very, thank you, Prabhu. I so much appreciate.
Please, can you unmute for a moment and say something?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I've been listening very carefully and drinking all the nectar that you are sharing. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I am so very grateful. Something that is, I was just sharing about this yesterday. Actually, just before I go there, let me just say, Ashish Shipanishad will be giving the class tomorrow. So please, those of you that, can come back, that are coming from someplace else. Varaha Prabhu, something that I was sharing yesterday in our Grihastha Vision team that is important for Grihasthas and important for devotees in general is to be consistent and to be disciplined. And I appreciate you for your consistency and your discipline in terms of giving Krishna consciousness according to your capacity, according to how Krishna has blessed you, how Guru has blessed you. I am eternally grateful to you for what you have offered to so many of the people there in Lome. You're in Lome, right? You're still in Lome.
Yes, Mataji.
So I thank you, Prabhu. You know, this is the thing about all false egos. All false egos wants us to be separate from each other, which is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, you know? Because at the end of the day, we are all connected with Krishna. All of us are connected with Krishna ultimately. And we are separating ourselves based on mind, body, skin disease, mental disease, you know? We're disconnecting ourselves. It's ego's job. If we can only remember the beauty of how we're connected to Krishna, then we'll let go of all this separate stuff. So thank you, my dear heart. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, yeah, we'll call it a day for today. So I will request all of the devotees to please kindly unmute now and let us loudly chant powerful Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to appreciate Mother for this wonderful presentation today. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Ganga Prasad, Narayani Devi, thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much, Mother.
Thank you, Constantina. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rajmani.
Haribo, Rati Devi, thank you very much. Yay, I get to see everybody's face. Yay. You know, I do these classes in Wusa, Wusa, Wake Up South Africa. And at the end of their class, actually, they play this African music, and it's so cool because at the end I get to dance. So I'm dancing with you, Rati, and I'm dancing with you, Loga. I'm dancing with yeah. So thank you so very much. Haribo, Ishwara, smile. Give us a smile, Ishwara. Great. Yeah. Increase our endorphins. Thank you very much. Haribo. I love you guys so much. So much. Haribo.
Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very much for joining for the class today. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the same time. Hare Krishna.